Hello and welcome back. I've just played and completed the first propaganda round of the game so far, which actually came at quite a welcome time because things were getting quite intense. I only made it 4 cards into the deck, so quite an early pull, but I think I needed it because, as I predicted, the Taliban were able to build up quite a significant force across the border with Pakistan, bolster their numbers here in Zabul and Paktika as well. And they also infiltrated Kabul and took out a police cube and an army cube from their military cube, and slipped into Baghlan and Balkh, where they were able to, in the propaganda round, actually enact Sharia law, gaining some opposition to me and actually pushing their victory points up by 5. So they're currently sitting at 10 points. Meanwhile, the warlords had a pretty slow start. They were able to get a base out here in Helmand, and way up north on the border with Tajikistan up here, they've got quite considerable numbers. So I think they're going to spread out soon and make it really difficult to take control of these regions. I had planned on getting in there on this first round, but I was completely unable to because I couldn't actually move or really do much because of the card pulls. I had to actually skip a turn to be able to get some of my forces out because I really only had troops in Kabul, but I was able to get a base and some troops in Nuristan, Kaust, and also in Kandahar. So I'm going to start building up forces there and spreading out. I could have got some support down here, Kabul as well, and in these 2 spaces on the propaganda round, but I decided not to because at this stage, quite early on in the game, and like I said, the Taliban have got quite considerable numbers over here, so if they are able to get in to any of these spaces, which I think is going to be their next move, then I'll have wasted quite a considerable amount of resources, leaving the government quite tied up. Because I'm hoping as well, in this round, basically, I want to lead quite a large offensive against the Taliban in these areas. So I'm planning on embedding my troops with these Afghan troops and using the Afghanistani government money to actually push in and try and take out some of these bases to prevent them from rallying there. But basically as well, the government have been able to get quite a considerable amount of patronage down here, taking advantage of my lack of base there. So it's a pretty pressured situation I'm in right now, because the government doesn't actually have too many resources this round, and I will need to get the aid up to try and get some more money flowing to them. So if I can take out considerable numbers here, then I'm going to start trying to get support of the population, but it's just a bit too risky at the moment. I should add as well, I forgot to touch on this earlier in the introduction video, that the coalition basically representing a mixture of sort of NATO forces and their auxiliary forces too, so just think of them as kind of, America, the United Kingdom, France, Italy, Canada, Australia, etc., countries like Poland, even some really small units from some quite obscure countries. I think there were some Mongolian units in amongst these, and even some Tajik units and things like that. And then the bases are kind of representing, barracks, medical bays, air bases, general infrastructure. So these are kind of what's actually allowing me to get support in those regions. So I've got to try and maintain control of this region and then hopefully spread into these regions here as well. The government still have quite a considerable amount of forces in their pool, and we haven't been able to rehouse any refugees yet this turn. Currently the situation, like I said, is quite pressured, but it's quite early on, so I'm hoping the next couple of cards go in my favour and allow me to make some moves early on and try and like I said, just trying to retain some control and setting myself up to be able to assault some of these areas. I've got to be mindful as well to keep an eye on Kabul, because I don't want to withdraw too many forces there. Also in the propaganda round, basically every propaganda round there's an Afghan troop desertion phase, basically. So 1 in every 3 cubes in a space is put back in the available pool. So on top of that as well, the Solitaire rules dictate that their police will start spreading out onto these lines of communication, these roads. So we'll see how that goes, because I want to actually start pulling the police into some of these provinces so I'm able to get some control. So yeah, very early propaganda round, quite unexpected. We'll see how it goes from here. I'm a bit nervous, but quite confident. The scores so far are: Coalition is at 17 support and available. Actually, no, that's incorrect. Apologies. I'm actually at 12. I forgot to fix that earlier. So Coalition's at support and available of 12. The Afghan government is currently at 14 coin control and patronage. The warlords have 14 uncontrolled spaces and 14 resources, and the Taliban have 10 bases and opposition points. I should add as well, on top of the Taliban enacting Sharia law in these spaces, they also had to withdraw because they don't have a base. There's no permanent place for them to stay. So them withdrawing has actually granted the warlords 4 points in uncontrolled space as well. And they've got a big build-up here, so they're going to be able to lock that area down quite soon. First card up is Desertion and Defections. It's going to be Warlords first, and I would assume they're going to play this one. After that, we've got Prison Break. So I'll check in on the next propaganda round. I'm hoping it'll give me a bit more time to bolster my defences, because I'd like to have, like I said, a way better hold on these middle areas. So yeah, stay posted. We'll see you in the second part, or the third part at this point. Nice one.